Hi folks, this is Mike Jordan. We'll spend a few minutes today to talk first about Utopia, a brief introduction to who Utopia is and how we play in this capital project information space. Then drill into the details of just why this is a difficult problem, challenges that companies often see in this particular capital project information handover space. Then, probably most importantly, we'll talk about standards that address the problem. Fortunately, lots of people have thought about this challenge over time, and the standards are available to address it, to take it into meaningful bite-sized chunks and address most important portions first. Utopia Labs is our capability for prototyping and proof of concept development so that we can really help you manage risk as you move into these capabilities, and we'll cover all of these in the next few minutes. Utopia is a global company, global services company focused particularly on data. As we'll speak today, we'll talk about how Utopia works with SAP clients and with other clients focusing in asset-intensive industries to get the data right and keep it right. One of our capabilities that we bring to bear with that, working very closely with SAP, is Utopia Labs, where we've built out a showcase using all of the newest SAP technologies for enterprise information management to build a staging area and allow you to do prototyping with your data, with your business processes, validating those processes with the SAP tool suite. Utopia's worked extensively with asset-intensive industries such as yours. This is a sample of some of our clients working in this space, and we'll talk back to references and particular areas with clients during the course of the conversation. But as we speak now to the real challenges associated with capital project information handover, this is a quick summary of the way that capital project activity occurs in traditional projects. As you well know, the process extends over 2 to 5 years quite often. Front-end engineering design is the first 1 to 2 years of that activity, resulting in final investment decision. And then we get into the concurrent design process, where in order to fast-track the construction process, detailed design, procurement, construction, and completion occurs all simultaneously. And all of this occurs 2 to 4 years before the actual deployment of the SAP Enterprise Asset Management System. As you well know, traditionally, information handover was pushed off until the last possible moment so that you were able to take that data after all the changes have occurred from the concurrent activities of detailed design, procurement, construction. That handover, I'm borrowing SAP's terminology here, but that dump truck handover arrives at the last possible moment, quite often looking like boxes and boxes of paper from the old days. But whether it's digital or paper, it occurs so late that the actual EAM build-out process quite often extends well after startup of the plant. The result of that is that the operational readiness of the Enterprise Asset Management System only ramps up well after the start of the plant, with the plant operated by specialists in the interim, recognizing that the maintenance system, the material system, the MRO supply chain systems are not fully built out until well after plant startup. Unfortunately, as these operating systems are ramping up, only then does the production capacity of the plant ramp up, and just day-to-day inefficiencies such as unavailability of spares, unavailability of optimized maintenance procedures has a direct impact on plant productivity, and the productivity of the plant quite often only reaches full capacity well into 2 to 3 years after plant startup. In fact, many analysts agree that these inefficiencies specifically associated with poorly managed capital project information handover can cost as much as 1% of the overall capital expenditure, with potential impacts as you see here: reduced asset availability, extended costs of startup, increased environmental health and safety risk, and increased maintenance costs. What we at Utopia, and really the thought leaders in the capital project information management space, recommend is a modified set of processes that really begin to address these challenging problems. And the gist of it is deployment of an asset information staging area. This allows us and you to provide a phased progressive handover of information, taking those transmittals from the very earliest days into a staging area where you can collect, validate, enrich, transform that asset information into load-ready EAM data well before the startup of the EAM system, and as a result, allowing the EAM system to be fully operational from the first day of plant startup. As a result, production capacity of the plant is increased with the benefits that you see in the top right corner. The important aspect of this to note, though, is that because you're taking transmittal data during the concurrent design process, you must deal with the changes. We're dealing with a very rich management of change environment, such that as the design changes, we're able to capture those changes and manage that change process such that we can have guaranteed latest version of information in our staging area and guaranteed auditable results loaded into our EAM environment. You might ask why the difficulty. This is, in fact, a challenge associated with every capital project, and why is that not already addressed in clean fashion? One of the reasons for that difficulty is that you're really working in a combined set of domains. Some aspects of this process are very document-centric. Piping and instrumentation diagrams, riser diagrams, loop diagrams, all of the documents associated with traditional capital projects are, in fact, still corollaries to the old engineering drawings. They're very document-centric. Now, ultimately, they have to be transformed to data. The information residing on those documents must turn into data to load the EAM system, and the manuals, operating procedures, and the actual manuals also must be correlated. So information on drawings must be tracked and correlated with information in documents and result in data that's loaded into the EAM system. And we have to maintain configuration control so that we know what data came from what documents and refers to what drawings. That's the traditional challenge. It's not really the domain of a single automation platform or a single type of automation tool. As I said at the beginning of the conversation, fortunately, we don't have to start from scratch to make this up. In fact, the FIATEC organization, sponsors of ISO 15926, and the organization Epistle from Europe, has done work in this space beginning some time ago, resulting in the methodology that you see described in these documents. Importantly, this framework is structured so that you can take the most important aspects of this problem, break it into bite-sized chunks so that it doesn't require a big bang approach, but instead it allows you to build what they describe as information packages and define the most important information packages first and take on the business process change and the automation change one step at a time. We address this in Utopia Labs, as you see depicted here, so that we can work in prototyping, not within a client's IT environment or not working with the master data associated with a capital project, but taking copies of small portions of that data out to Utopia Labs and building a staging area to do the prototyping of these standards-based information package projects. What that allows us to do is build out business processes using auditable data governance processes such that we can take in information from a transmittal package. This would typically be configured as you would receive information from your engineering, procurement, construction companies. It might include equipment tags, specifications, purchase orders, work breakdown structures. It might include P&IDs, loop diagrams, instrument indices. It could include any combination of information. But importantly, we're able to treat that transmittal package as an entity and then do transmittal routing or transmittal management and content routing. From there, you may be interested in doing vendor data validation and enrichment and corresponding with vendors. Might then be interested in doing material master validation and creation and interacting with the SAP supply chain applications. Schedule validation, interacting with tools like Primavera, and then EAM build-out, which is actually loading the EAM system and populating the corollary documents into enterprise content management, such as OpenText. Now, this is just a sample of the type of task that you might take on as a part of managing transmittals and the resultant information handover. But in real life, we would pick and choose with you and define the particular processes of interest that we could prototype in that proof of concept environment to take the most important challenges first and address those in a piecemeal fashion. If you look at the capabilities that come to bear, what we're really saying, in essence, is the variety of information types that might come in a transmittal, whether it's engineering documents and drawings, data sheets, purchase orders, material requisitions, or work breakdown structures, all come in a transmittal with transmittal metadata. They're brought into a staging area, and with SAP technology, Utopia methodology, we're able to validate, transform, enrich, and approve those, building out equipment masters, material masters, maintenance plans, strategies, BOMs, all in an SAP load-ready format for load of the EAM environment. If we drill in just a bit more detail, just the activities associated with transmittal management allows us to begin first with looking at the transmittal data, metadata, to look at contents, document IDs, document types, and then build out the equipment rules that says, if this transmittal contains these components, here are the business processes required to take that transmittal apart and process the information appropriately. SAP's ECM suite is an excellent tool to work in that environment, doing the transmittal management from audit receipt and approval, and then manage that content distribution process. This is one of the tools. This is an SAP endorsed business solution that is available for use in Utopia Labs for that transmittal management and content routing process. If we look at vendor data management and validation, that capability addresses things such as dealing with purchase orders. The documents, as this example indicates, may be in a variety of formats. If they happen to be in a PDF format, perhaps not the most convenient, even that format's not out of reach. Here we're taking PDF purchase orders, highlighting particular contents of those purchase orders, then creating text files so that now we have text associated with the purchase orders, and very importantly, we're maintaining the correlation between the text file and the purchase order. Then from those individual text files, we can use SAP's Text Data Analytics engine to extract tag numbers, manufacturers, model numbers, and attributes, normalize and standardize those, and then enrich them using Utopia's content engineers and content library, such that we can move from PDF purchase orders in very short order to enriched, validated, deduplicated equipment descriptions available for the next step in the process. If we look at requirements for material master validation and creation. In this context, Utopia provides tools for capabilities such as real-time data governance built upon SAP's Master Data Governance Suite. It allows us to supplement, if you're an IT person, you might recognize SAP's MM01 task, which is a material creation process. This allows us to supplement MM01 such that we can build rule-based transactions, allowing you to build in the workflows, the validation, the enrichment, the approval process associated with the creation of any new material in SAP, accessing it through a web-based interface or accessing it through ECC6. Finally, if you look at the EAM build-out, this is where another SAP-endorsed business solution, NRX Asset Hub, comes to bear. This is a staging area that allows you to do the actual transformation from engineering tags into functional locations, to create, enrich, and edit the equipment locations, materials, BOMs, plans, and task lists in a consolidated staging area using a reference library built out to your maintenance standards, and staging the information in a visual drag and drop environment prior to doing the SAP load. So what you've seen very quickly is a cross-section of technologies available in a Utopia lab environment where we can begin with a standards-based approach, looking first to information packages and what information is most important for you associated with a transmittal. Then doing the prototyping in Utopia Labs, selecting appropriate technologies from SAP and SAP-endorsed business solution partners to prove out those processes in a lab environment before deploying into your operational environment. We've covered a lot of information in a very short time. I appreciate your attention with this, and now, Terry, I'll pass it back to you. We can open the floor for questions.
Thanks, Mike. The floor is now open for any questions you might have. You can enter them into the question pane located on the right-hand side of your window in the Go to Webinar toolbar. We did get one during the presentation, Mike. We are using Intergraph Smart Plant tools. Is this compatible with your approach?
Oh, that's a good question. Intergraph is one of the leading software vendors in this space. They're used quite often by the engineering construction arena. InTools is the dominant product for actual instrumentation design. In the owner-operator space, Intergraph has one of the leading engineering data warehouse products called Smart Plant Foundation. Intergraph will manage the engineering side of the automation problem. They're structured to think as the plant engineering organization thinks in terms of equipment tags. When you have Intergraph in place in the owner-operator side as the engineering data warehouse, we would then interact with the Intergraph system and make that transformation from engineering tags to maintenance functional locations. That is very helpful in that staging area to collect the transmittals. We would then take over with the SAP technologies to do the transformation from tags to functional location, bills of material, task lists, strategies, plans, all things that are required for the maintenance activity.
Okay, and then also you showed a slide with many capital projects customers that Utopia has had. Can you point out any particular references on this particular approach?
We've done bits and pieces of this with most of the people you saw in the earlier slide. One in particular, ConocoPhillips, actually made a joint presentation with us back in the spring at the SAP-centric EAM conference in Huntington Beach. That joint presentation is also available from Utopia or from the SAP-centric EAM organization. That would be one I would point to in particular, since ConocoPhillips is making presentations on this topic.